New footage has dropped for Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 3 in the IMAX 70mm tickets on sale trailer, and what we get to see gives us quite an interesting new look at the film. We get new footage of Alia Atreides, Jason Momoa's Hayt, the Dune Tarot cards from Messiah, and a few new shots of what looks to be another world during the Holy War period. It's essentially an extension of what we got in the teaser trailer, and it signals the start of tickets for the film now being on sale. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing and breaking down the new Dune Part 3 footage. The trailer promo will be linked in the description of this video if you haven't seen it already. Before I get into my breakdown though, if you want to keep up to date on any of my content surrounding Dune Part 3, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating, subscribing to the channel, and turning on your notifications. But without further ado, let's talk about the new footage for Dune Part 3. So we got a new teaser for Denis Villeneuve's final Dune film, which was released on Warner Bros. Social media pages, and it revealed that tickets for the IMAX 70mm locations were on sale early. They released tickets for showings over the first 3 days, listing 19 theatres, with locations including 4 theatres in Los Angeles, 2 in San Francisco, and theatres in other cities such as London, Vancouver, New York, Dallas, Miami, and many more. Within minutes, all of these IMAX 70mm screenings were sold out, so if you want to see the film in the biggest format possible, then you're going to have to wait until closer to the release date, when they'll likely put out more screenings for the film in that format. This follows a very similar pattern to what Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey did last year, and like with Dune Part 3, all of those early screenings sold out almost instantly. There has been a bit of criticism surrounding this approach online, and on one side, I can understand the frustration over how quickly the announcement came and how quickly the tickets went. But I've got to be completely honest, these tickets were always going to sell quickly, especially in the 70mm IMAX format, and if anything, I'm actually quite happy that they are doing this early release schedule. I think it's a positive thing for cinema that you have films like The Odyssey and Dune Part 3 doing this well and building momentum this early on, and it will only increase demand in the overall box office because people will want more screenings and to see the films in that premium format. The 70mm theatres will have to add more screenings, and that will come closer to the release date, meaning it's good for the film, it's great for theatres, and it will eventually be good for audiences. So on that front, I think it's great to see that Dune Part 3 is tracking well this early on. But the reason you're probably all here is to hear about all the new footage included within that announcement teaser and what exactly we're seeing in the new shots featured. Well, while we only get a bit of new footage, the shots we do get are quite fascinating. First, we get additional shots of Paul and the Fremen during the Holy War, arriving on a new world through a planetary storm. The ships look to be the exact same Atreides ones from the Leaving Caladan scene in the first Dune movie, creating quite an intriguing parallel to the beginning of that film. The VFX in the footage looks stunning here, and it gives us just enough hint of the scale that Denis is bringing to the film by expanding upon the Holy War that was only talked about in the Dune Messiah book. I did do a whole video talking about how Denis might be adapting the Holy War based on the trailer footage we got before, so I'd recommend checking that out to get a better idea of how the director might be bringing these moments to life during the 17 years between the two books that have been adapted. Moving on though, we also get a new shot of Jason Momoa's Hayt looking on at Alia and Paul, who in the original trailer were initiating that now famous war chant. In knowing that this is from that same scene, I'm guessing that this is towards the beginning of Hayt meeting Alia in the book. In the Dune Messiah book, Alia is fascinated by Hayt, and he is also drawn to her, partly due to his residual memories as Duncan Idaho and her pre-born nature. Essentially, they are both quite weird in their own ways, and they connect as each sees in the other a reflection of their own internal war. Their connection isn't romantic in the conventional sense, as it's psychological, existential, and deeply tragic. Alia grew up surrounded by myth, prophecy, and political expectation, and she never had a normal childhood, never a chance to be simply herself. Hayt represents something she has never experienced, as someone who knew her family before the jihad, someone who isn't afraid of her, and someone who sees her as a person, not a saint or an abomination. But more importantly, Hayt represents choice. He's a being who was created for a purpose by the conspiracy, but is fighting against it. That resonates with Alia, who feels trapped in a destiny she never asked for. So I think we're seeing the formation of that bond and one of the early moments when Hayt becomes intrigued by Alia via the memories he has of Duncan. Furthermore, we then get possibly the most interesting of the new shots included in this new teaser, and that is a bloody Alia Atreides looking down at what appears to be the Dune Tarot cards. In the Messiah book, the Dune Tarot enters the story as a cultural and metaphysical backlash against Paul Atreides' prescience. After 12 years of his reign, or 17 years in the case of the new film, the universe has grown uneasy with a man who can see every branching possibility of the future. The tarot cards are introduced as a kind of psychic smokescreen, if you will, a tool that spreads across the Imperium like a fad, but with a deeper, almost insurgent purpose. They create randomness, or at least the illusion of it, in a universe where Paul's vision has become suffocatingly deterministic. The Bene Gesserit, the Spacing Guild, and the Tleilaxu all quietly encourage the spread of the tarot because it represents a weapon Paul cannot fully control. So the tarot is Herbert's way of dramatizing the limits of prescience, with the card symbolizing humanity's instinctive rebellion against a future that has already been written. The tarot essentially becomes a mirror held up to Paul's rule, reflecting the unintended consequences of prescience. When it comes to Alia Atreides, she finds her abilities challenged by the cards and sees that they are being sold at Fremen pilgrims. She wonders who is selling the cards because she is also dealing with a murky future. So the Dune Tarot may have been pushed by Paul's enemies as a kind of guerrilla tool that brings about a fog with his and Alia's prescience. There is also a chapter where Alia tries to ingest a lot of spice to break through the fog created by the tarot, and I think her bleeding in this new footage could be in response to that, having a severe psychological effect with a hallucination or intense prescient vision. But on top of this, I think there's also a chance that if Villeneuve is bringing in her subplot from Children of Dune, that it might be connected to that in some capacity too. It might not even be either of those, but based on those two possibilities, my guess would be the former, based on her holding the tarot card in the following shot. But finally, the last of the new shots we get in the IMAX promo teaser is one of Zendaya's Chani, which looks to be from the same sandworm sequence we saw at the end of the previous teaser. No one quite knows what this scene is referencing from the book, but what was picked out before was that there were two people spotted on the sandworm that looked to be ready to attack Chani, hence her fighting stance in the footage from the previous trailer. I think that this is a scene that Denis Villeneuve has added to his adaptation. There have been fans online speculating that they have changed Chani being pregnant during the events of the Messiah story, and that she essentially has already given birth to Leto and Ganima. This would mean that they are both around 17 years old by the events of Messiah's story in Dune Part 3. Now, I didn't believe this theory until I saw that extended IMAX frame of Chani and Paul in the previous trailer, which looks to have shown off her baby bump. I believe Secrets of Dune was able to work this out, so I'll link his post down below. But that scene in the trailer looks to be set towards the beginning of the 17-year Holy War period in the film because of the younger appearance of both Paul and Chani. So if that is the approach that Denis is taking, then it would mean a fundamental change in the ending of Messiah and what happens to Chani. Maybe this sandworm fight is the beginning of a final sequence that takes the place of what we got in the Messiah book. Or maybe it's just an additional action scene that takes place somewhere in the middle of the film. I'm not 100% sure at this moment, and I think we're going to have to wait to see more footage to really get an idea of how director Denis Villeneuve is adapting Chani after the changes made to her character at the end of Dune Part 2. But that was my video discussing all the new footage for Dune Part 3. If both the first trailer and this new promo are any indication, then Part 3 is shaping up to be a finale that's visually daring, emotionally devastating, and thematically rich. The IMAX film imagery, the glimpses of the individual performances, and the new cinematic approach across the board from Denis Villeneuve all point toward a film that could make the Dune trilogy stand alongside the great trilogies of our time. The new footage shows how the director is going deep into the Messiah book, yet expanding on it with all the holy war stuff we're seeing. So if Villeneuve can stick the landing, then I think we might be witnessing the completion of a trilogy that future filmmakers will study for decades. But what were your thoughts on all the new footage for Dune Part 3, and do you think director Denis Villeneuve can make the Dune Messiah storyline work on the big screen? Let me know down below in the comments section. For much more videos and breakdowns, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.